Kyle Larson has won at Bristol, and he's now aiming for NASCAR. The Hendrick Motorsports driver nearly swept the weekend, winning both the Cup and Xfinity races and finishing second in trucks. The numbers don't lie. Kyle Larson was unstoppable at Bristol. He led 411 of 500 laps in Sunday's Cup Series race, earning his 31st Cup victory and third at Bristol. In Saturday's Xfinity race, he led 277 of 300 laps, proving his command of the last great Coliseum. Larson regarded his Cup triumph at Bristol as a perfect race for all 5 teams. Very, very lovely car. It was a lot of fun. You know, however many laps of green we did, it was a lot of fun, and I felt extremely at ease in the scenario. The average speed on Sunday was an incredible 100.746 miles per hour, making it the fastest Bristol race since the track was converted to concrete. Only Cale Yarborough's April 1977 win at Bristol was faster over 500 laps. However, this wasn't just another victory for Larson. This success came on a sorrowful weekend for Hendrick Motorsports, which had recently lost its director of communications, John Edwards. Larson dedicated his performance to Edwards, whose death was announced last Thursday. Larson joined Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour podcast on Monday, following a successful weekend. What he said has generated debate within NASCAR. This might come off cocky. I want to embarrass them, honestly. I just want to embarrass NASCAR a little bit. They don't let Cup guys run anymore, and the kids probably think they're in a good spot. They don't know where the bar is really at in Xfinity. I do get motivated, and this is going to come across like very cocky, but I want to embarrass them, honestly. Like, you know, I just want to embarrass NASCAR a little bit because they just don't let Cup guys run anymore. And the kids, like, they probably think they're in a good spot and like they don't know where the bar is really at. So I like to go run those Xfinity races and just get 10-second leads to let them realize that they've got a lot of room to improve. And I think that's only better for our sport. You know, when those young guys can compete with Cup guys, they're better suited for the Cup Series once they get there. Yes, I want to smash the field when I run Xfinity. That's motivating for me, for sure. Larson has stated that his goal in Xfinity races is to disgrace both the drivers and NASCAR. But why? Larson explained. So I like to run those Xfinity races and just get 10-second leads to let them realize that they got a lot of room to improve. I want to smash the field when I run Xfinity. This is a direct challenge to NASCAR's rules, which confine Cup drivers to the lower series. Since 2020, NASCAR has limited Cup drivers to a maximum of 5 races in the Xfinity and Truck Series, a practice known as the Kyle Busch rule. Prior to these limitations, Cup drivers often dominated lower-tier races. Kyle Busch ran at least 15 Xfinity races per season, winning 8 of them while competing full-time in Cup. Despite his frank attitude, Larson says that his participation helps train younger drivers. Larson explained, "I think that's only better for our sport. When those young guys can compete with Cup guys, they're better suited for the Cup Series once they get there." Harvick, a previous Cup winner, agreed with Larson, stating that when he raced Xfinity, there were at least 20 Cup drivers in the lineup each week. Harvick described it as a continuous assessment of where you are, grooming young drivers for potential Cup careers. Is this an example of tough love, or has Larson crossed a line? Larson's displeasure did not come out of nowhere. Last month at Homestead, Miami, he was 15 seconds ahead of the Xfinity race when tragedy struck. With only 8 laps remaining, Taylor Gray's yellow flag necessitated a restart, during which Sam Mayer nudged Larson, causing him to lose his lead and finish 4th. That race was part of another triple-header weekend in which Larson won the Truck and Cup races, but fell short of a sweep due to the Xfinity result. Adding fuel to the fire, the next week saw heated racing at Martinsville, where Sammy Smith collided with race leader Taylor Gray on the penultimate lap, wrecking many cars in his chase of victory. This event drew criticism due to the rudeness displayed by younger drivers. These experiences probably informed Larson's views as he moved to Bristol, where he was keen to make a statement, which he certainly did. Larson's remarks on Xfinity racing were not the only topic at Bristol. It also included another chapter in one of NASCAR's most intriguing current rivalries, Larson versus Denny Hamlin. Hamlin came to Bristol hoping for his 3rd consecutive Cup triumph, following victories at Martinsville and Darlington. Larson avoided a three-peat, and he was not ashamed to enjoy it. Larson said this after his win. "If Denny's in front of me, it could be a totally different story and be really hard to pass him, but glad to stop his three-peat. We hate to see him win, as I'm sure you guys do too." He gestured to the audience, who responded with cheers. Larson and Hamlin finished first and second in a cup race for the 8th time, but this was Larson's maiden win. Hamlin fired back on his weekly Actions Detrimental podcast. His post-race comments about keeping me from 3 in a row, and we don't like to see that, and you fans don't either. Now I'm like, piss on your triple, your sweep. I'm glad Chandler Smith beat you in the truck race. Despite the verbal sparring, Hamlin showed respect for Larson's dominant performance. You gotta give that team their due and Kyle his due. Just a dominant performance. It looked like a pretty flawless day for him. It looked pretty easy. It was all I had to try to keep up there. The statistics show that these two drivers are on a collision course for the 2025 championship. Larson is ranked second, with Hamlin third, in NASCAR's advanced analytics, which evaluate drivers' passing, defense, speed, restarts, and pit stops. Larson's comments reignited a long-running NASCAR debate. Should Elite Cup drivers compete in development series? NASCAR introduced restrictions when fans complained that Cup drivers were dominating and taking wins away from series regulars. Has the pendulum moved too far? Kyle Busch, who has not won a Cup race in nearly 60 races, told The Athletic, "The schedule of not being able to participate as much in the Xfinity and Truck Series races, maybe I'm a creature of habit and I just like being out there and doing all of that." Busch believes that these limits have reduced his performance. Since 2020, he has won only 7 Cup races, 4 of which have been in the next-gen vehicle, as opposed to 5 in 2019 and the Cup Championship. There is an obvious contrast between Xfinity and Cup competition. Look at Ty Gibbs. He won his first Xfinity race and went on to win the 2022 Series title after 7 victories. Despite competing with Joe Gibbs Racing in the Cup, he has yet to win a race in over 100 starts. Does NASCAR need to rethink its strategy? What are your thoughts? Aside from the issue, Bristol offered some noteworthy racing statistics. Only 4 lead changes occurred over the 500-lap Cup race, the fewest at Bristol in nearly 43 years. Larson has now led an astounding 872 out of the last 1,000 laps in his last 2 Bristol wins. This stands in stark contrast to Hamlin's triumph in the March 2024 Bristol race, which included a track record 54 lead changes. Why is there such a difference? Drivers reported tire performance issues. Hamlin explained, "I thought the number 5 was able to navigate traffic slightly better than I was, and that was a big benefit. On open racetrack, I could run with him and was able to catch him there on the second long stint, but I just couldn't navigate the traffic quite as good as he could." Jeff Gordon, now vice chairman at Hendrick Motorsports, expressed disappointment with Sunday's tire, but acknowledged the challenges. "Goodyear has a tough job. We have a heavy car. We have these high bank tracks, heavy loads, abrasive surfaces. There's just a lot of things that are very difficult for them to make a tire that's durable and performs well." After nearly sweeping 2 triple-header weekends at Homestead and Bristol, what's next for Larson? He currently has no triple headers planned for this season, but has not ruled them out in the future. Larson is still hoping to join Kyle Busch as the only drivers to win all 3 National Series in a single weekend, something Busch accomplished at Bristol in 2010 and 2017. "I'll be selective," Larson said of future attempts. "I have to feel I have a shot to win all 3 and also pick the tracks I enjoy." These circuits might include Homestead, Bristol, and possibly Kansas Speedway, which hosted all 3 series last September but has no triple header scheduled this year.